Hello, my name is Taylor Brown, and my partner today is Julie Throne. I am an agriculture education teacher at Jefferson Middle School in Jefferson, Georgia, and Julie is a high school teacher at Cedar Shoals High School in Athens, Georgia. And this is for Dr. Cordy's Adult Education 7646. And today we're going to talk about the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension Program. We're going to give you a program overview and then focus on the pest management workforce education courses.
We've developed a very brief questionnaire for you to take at the Bitly link, and it just asks a few questions about cooperative extension. Doesn't matter which state you're in, but we would like for you to go to the Bitly link and fill out the brief questionnaire telling us how much you knew about cooperative extension before we gave you the overview.
The contact information for UGA Cooperative Extension is based at the University of Georgia in Athens at Connor Hall. And no matter where you live in Georgia, you have a cooperative extension office in your county. And that's the same for all across the country. We just live in Georgia, so that's why we're focusing on Georgia today. We're going to show you just a really quick link where of how you can find your extension. If you live in Alabama, at the end of our presentation, we have a link to the Alabama site. A cooperative extension is divided in Georgia into 4 regions. Julie and I are both in the Northeast region. And so all you have to do is click what county you live in, and it will tell you what where your cooperative extension office is located. Has upcoming events, how to request a speaker, how to contact the office, and every website is different because it's managed by that extension. You can enter questions, just kind of whatever information that you need. It's a really great resource. There are some that have agriculture and natural resource agents. There are some that have 4-H agents and some with family and consumer sciences. And kind of depending on where you live depends on what your extension looks like. For example, I live in Franklin County in Northeast Georgia. We are a very agricultural county, and so we have a Ag and Natural Resources agent, a 4-H agent, and that's our extension office. We do not have a family and consumer sciences agent in our county. There's a picture of our lovely courthouse. There's not much else going on in the town. But there's all kinds of extension news, there's a blog, upcoming events, all kinds of information that you can find through your extension that's about your community in your county and the agriculture or the family and consumer sciences that are based in your community.
UGA was the first land-grant university, and through that, they began research. That branched into the cooperative extension programs where they started the research programs on crops. So UGA has a very rich history in cooperative extension and the research and the outreach. The video that we've attached, that's also at the Bitly link, is about an 8-minute video that shows the 100-year anniversary, the history behind UGA and the creation of the extension programs and how they have evolved over the years. Like I said, UGA is the house of the cooperative extension. They have the state staff housed in UGA. They also have professors and doctors conducting research in the very many areas: forestry, natural resources, agriculture, crops, soils, very, very differentiated and extensive. And the Extension Service takes the research and develops information that needs to go out to the public. And that research is used in businesses and in home, but this is how the research is related to the different aspects of agriculture and food science, natural resources. So they gather up the materials and they disperse that to the different districts. They also use the doctors to do outreach for the public in educating the public. So then the districts disseminate the information into the county extension offices, and the extension agents are educated in the different areas with the research. They use the research to drive the 4-H development. Years and years ago, the 4-H was developed because there was a lot of agriculture research going on out in the fields, and the farmers would not pay attention or were not open to the new crops and research that was coming out of the land-grant universities. So the extension agents worked with the youth in developing new crops and had them plant these new crops alongside the traditional crops at home. And when the families saw the differences in the crops, then the adults bought into the program better. The Extension Service also offers adult education and workforce education through many different programs. It could be in food safety, pest control, forestry, different areas of agriculture, natural resources.
In general, for the Extension Office, the purpose of all their trainings are career connections. So a lot of these trainings, especially the two that we're going to talk about, tie directly to several different career opportunities that you could have and be successful in. Another one is continuing education. My husband is a beef cattle farmer, and he uses the Extension Office to keep him updated on agricultural issues, to help him figure out how to test his hay, how to test his soil, because we live in a part of the country where poultry houses are abundant. And so we use chicken litter as the primary fertilizer on our farm. And even though it's really great, it also comes with some side effects, such as we get a lot of thistle from using chicken litter as a fertilizer. And so we use the Extension Office as a resource to continually improve our farm. Another purpose of the Extension Office in general and of the trainings is, like Julie said, we have scientists all over the state conducting research and improving practices and developing new varieties, but we need a way to connect that to the public. And so really the purpose is to get the best information, the best practices, the most updated research, and to get that to the public. The target population in general of Extension, the 4-H Club is for ages 9 to 21, and the Extension program and classes are for adults in general, and there are a ton of different classes that are available. It just kind of depends on your interest and what's going on in your community. The programs are delivered by Extension through in-class programs, workshops, field days. These are generally presented in local communities, and these can be taught by extension agents, a district or state extension employee, or by the researchers themselves. And we're going to give you a little brief overview of some of the programs that are offered, and then Julie's going to share some of her experience because she's done a couple of these. So for horticulture and the environment, you can learn to become a master beekeeper, a master composter. A lot of communities have a master garden program, a gardener program, which is really popular. In addition to teaching you technical skills, they also teach you employability skills, like the on-site and telephone consultation class. A lot of people are very technically skilled, but they lack some of those workforce and employability skills that make them even more successful in the workplace. And so a class like the telephone consultation would improve client relations and really just improve the overall employability of the person. Organic agriculture certification testing and soil and water testing. Most people, when they think of Extension, they know that that's the place you get your soil tested. You get the little brown bag and you send your soil sample off. And that's one of the things that they do a lot, but they do a lot more. While Julie and I are primarily interested in the agriculture aspect, there are family and community wellness training, bankruptcy, child care provider training, cooking classes, community housing, relationship education, home buyer education. You know, all of these are classes that are, or trainings that are offered through the Family and Consumer Science Division. As far as production agriculture goes, these are for farmers, growers, and landscapers. So a beef cattle short course, which would just really teach you about health and management of beef cattle, herd and bull and heifer evaluation and reproductive development is a great class I know a lot of people have completed. The grass masters, lab testing of your hay and of your soil, master cattlemen's, master goats. All of these are options. We're going to focus on integrated pest management and the pesticide safety education today. Julie's going to tell you a little bit about the Master Cattlemen's program because she has had some experience in that.
The Master Cattlemen's program is put on through the extension, and they will invite the counties surrounding whatever the host county is, and they have people from UGA come in and discuss different areas of beef cattle production. It is a 6-week training that meets one time a week in the evening for several hours. And at the completion of this program, you have a certificate that says you have done the Master Cattlemen's program. If you are looking to improve your employability in beef cattle, this would surely help out when searching for a job in that area. But it just gives you current information that is happening in the cattle industry.
And I like to tell my students that having work experience is really important, but I do think employers value a certification, so a piece of paper that they can hold in their hands. And so, maybe you've worked at a beef cattle farm for 10 years, but I think if you go through a program like this and get a certification, that's just going to give even more proof to your potential employer that you are really prepared and that you are really educated and that you would make a good employee.
And the program also has a list of skills that they cover so that as a potential employee, you can cover that and say, well, we've studied the pest control, the feeds, the anatomy, physiology, and this is what we've covered in the course that make me a Master Cattleman's.
The first workforce education program that we're going to focus on today is Integrated Pest Management, or the IPM program. A lot of times when people think of pest management, their mind goes directly to bugs and to chemicals. And so pest control is so much more than that. In agriculture, pests can be plant-based pests, they can be diseases, fungus, or they can be insects or arachnids. And chemicals are not always the best way to control pests, but IPM uses a 4-pronged approach to controlling pests. So they use mechanical, cultural, chemical, and biological control. And because in agriculture, especially production agriculture, you have to put a lot of money in to get product out. And so minimizing the economic impact of what you have to put in to control the pests, but also to secure your crops or whatever you're producing. Agriculturists are always conscious about what we're doing to the environment because we rely on the environment to sustain. We have to have a good environment to produce. And so we want to make sure we're making smart choices for the environment and for the public health. I don't think in the past this might not have been the biggest concern. I have pictures of my grandfather in the 1930s, spraying fields. He doesn't have a mask on. He just going wild. And so I think we've gotten a lot smarter in how we manage pests. Mechanical control is essentially any way, physically or using a tool removing pests. So mechanical control can be as simple as pulling weeds. It can be as simple, the bug in the picture right there next to the ladybug, that little guy's called an aphid. And they get attached to your plants, and you can mechanically control them by blasting them with the water hose. That is a good first step. Cultural control is making an environment where your plants can grow or your animals can thrive, creating an environment that does not encourage pest growth. And so, for example, my great aunt and uncle own a peach orchard, and they use these really simple little flags. One side is bright red reflective, and the other side is silver reflective, and they